Warhammer 40,000. The universe where everything is literally so fucking overpowered that it is just an incomprehensible clusterfuck of violence and sex demons. What units from Warhammer 40,000 could I realistically take in a fistfight? Now, you may be wondering, like, what are my qualifications for this? What makes a little nerd boy like me, a little Warhammer-ass nerd boy like me, able to judge these fights? Without going into too much detail about my personal life, because it's kind of boring, I've been training in various martial arts for about a decade now, and I've placed nationally for sparring. So I'm like above average when it comes to fighting compared to just your normal schmuck off the street, right? I know what I'm doing, I know how to fight, I have been fighting for 10 years now. Because it is 40k and every single unit in it is in some way overpowered. If it was a fight with powers or weapons, then I would lose essentially every single fight in about half a second, because this is the most overpowered, ridiculous, and batshit crazy universe to ever be invented. That being said, these fights will be in a hypothetical world where we are just duking it out. Bare knuckles, bare balls, no weapons, no powers, just some fists and some feet. Let's look at our tier list here. Alright, we got a good couple sections, and we have 22 units from specifically the Imperial. I am only going over Imperial forces today. I have 22 units from the Imperium of Man, and I'm going to rate them based on if I could kick their ass, it's a close fight but I win, a close fight but I lose, they could kick my ass, and I'm not even going to try, essentially. What I want to do is go from like weakest to most powerful and rank them based on that. Starting things off nice and simple with the Emperor of Mankind. In the 41st millennium. So we were talking about the Emperor on the Golden Throne, the little skeleton boy that we all know and love, the iconic face of 40k, right? I'm gonna be honest, I solo him. I solo him so easily. I kick his fucking ass, dude. It is not a fucking contest. I literally just have to turn off his life support and I win that fight. Let me emphasize this. There's no powers, no psychic, just bare knuckle fighting. And let me tell you, my boy is lacking in knuckles right now. So I think I pretty fucking easily beat the Emperor of Man in a bare knuckle fist fight in the 41st millennium. He's decrepit, he's decaying, he's consuming hundreds upon thousands of souls simply to let humanity travel through the warp. So all I really need to do is like climb up on the throne, smack him around a couple times, and then unplug it, and I win. So, you know, I think that's pretty clear-cut victory in my books. Next up, we have a servo skull. Now, servo skulls don't really do much. They're just kind of there. They carry some stuff. They perform some actions. Sometimes they help people put on armor and whatnot. They kind of just float around and look all gothic and emo and cool. So I'm not worried about that one. I'm pretty sure I could win against the servo skull pretty fucking easily, right? He has no hands, he just has some little grabby bits, but you know, I got bigger grabby bits and I think mine are stronger. So I think I solo a servo skull 100%. Next up, we got the weird flying babies. I think they're called cherubs. The weird flying babies in 40k. They're always like in the background for some reason. And there's models for them too. There's like physical miniatures for these weird flying babies. But at the end of the day, they're a flying baby. I have defeated many infants in my time, and I am not afraid of one just because it has wings. If we are locked in a room and we are forced to fight, then that baby has to fight me. So he can't just fly around and avoid the fight. He has to come down and start swinging, and I swing much harder than a baby. I would kick a cherub's ass, 100%. Alright, next up on our list is an Imperial noble. On Imperial worlds, obviously they have government and they have a class system. And nobles are usually shown to be kind of pompous assholes. They're greedy, self-centered, they're rich, and they just kind of rule above the middle class in the Imperial world. Your classic Imperial noble has never had to face hardship because they're rich and they're pompous and they're stupid. So if it came down to a bare knuckles fist fight, they probably have like very little to no fighting experience. And even if they were a soldier at one point, they've been living a life of luxury for a good couple decades. They're out of shape, they haven't fought in a while. I'm faster, I'm stronger, I kick their ass. Alright, nobles, I could kick their ass. Now next up, we have your ordinary Imperial citizen. Just a normal guy working his 9 to 5. He goes out, he gets the bread, he comes home, he prays to the emperor, he shits his pants and goes to sleep. Now, because they are ordinary citizens with no fighting experience, I'm gonna say I could kick their ass. Just based on principle. If you take someone who knows how to fight and you have them fight someone who doesn't know how to fight, they're gonna win. Despite their immaculate fashion sense, I'm gonna have to say that I kick their ass. Next up, we have a servitor. And the reason I have a servitor as stronger than an Imperial citizen is because servitors are part metal. And some servitors do have like massive claws attached to them, which could pose a very high threat to my weak little human flesh and bones. As much as that would disappoint the tech priests of Mars, my flesh is still fully intact and just as weak as they say it is. So a servitor could potentially pose a threat to me and my feeble little human flesh. So I'm gonna say that I can beat a servitor, but it's going to be a closer fight than everything else that came before it, just because they are part metal and I've punched metal before and it hurts. So it would be a hard fight for me to win. I think I would have to win based off of intelligence because servitors are lobotomized little robot boys. Next up, we have a Titan Princeps. Now, this is gonna go back to, I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of them. You take a Princeps out of a Titan, what is he? A little boy in a tank? A little boy with holes in his brain for wires who goes in a little tank inside a giant mech suit to go fight stuff? You take away his mech suit, what is he? Just a little boy with holes in his brain. He can't beat me, he can't swing, his limbs don't work. He hasn't walked normally in years because he's driving his giant mech suit. So I'm gonna kick his ass. Alright, next up, we have an Imperial Navy officer. Now these are the officers that would be running the bridgeheads of the Imperial fleet. Like the big battle cruisers that go around and shoot stuff fucking in space. They're big space battles. Now these officers like do have military training and they are trained to fight, but they don't do it much because they are always running their Starfleet, right? And the thing with fighting is if you don't practice it, you're not gonna be able to retain your ability. Like you will still have the instincts of a fighter, you will still have a much better chance in a fight than someone who has no idea how to fight, but you're not gonna be like super good at it. So I'm gonna say it's a close fight, but I beat an Imperial Navy officer in a fist fight. Next up, we have an Imperial Guard Psyker. Witness your doom! So, if it came down to a fight with powers included, the Psyker would kill me instantly with his mind bullets. But given we are fighting without powers and he just has to duke it out with me, good old-fashioned brawl, I'm gonna say I solo the fuck out of a Psyker. They don't physically fight. Psykers rely on their connections to the warp to manifest their psychic powers to win their fights. That's their whole thing. No shot any Imperial Psyker can outbox me unless they're in Astartes. Let me clarify that. So Imperial Psyker, I could kick their ass 100%. In a very similar vein to an Imperial Psyker, we have Astropaths. Now Astropaths are the Psykers that are on board the Imperial Navy ships that help guide them through the warp while they're traveling. Also a Psyker, very powerful minds, very feeble when it comes to physical confrontation. So Astropath, same as the Psyker, I could kick their ass. Next up is an Imperial Missionary, right? These are the people who travel with the Sisters of Battle normally, and they go around preaching the Emperor's will to people. They're exactly what they say they are. They're a missionary. I'm not a huge fan of religious fanatics, and so I feel like that would give me a primal rage that I could use against this guy. And again, he's like an old ass man, He's like an old ass man with a stick. Take away his stick, I could beat his ass. Next up is an Imperial tank crew. Now I want you guys to think about it for a moment. Have you ever met a mechanic, like a car mechanic even? Just some dude who works in a shop. Those motherfuckers are strong as fuck. Now take that, give that strong ass man formal military training and probably some physical augmentations because they're an Imperial tank crew. I'm gonna say an Imperial tank crew could beat me. I'm gonna say it's a close fight. Like I could probably hold my own for a good bit, but they will beat me because mechanics are just some of the most unnaturally strong people that I've ever seen, and I don't understand why. Next up, we have your basic Imperial Guardsmen. Now these guys are known for dying by the thousands to take even just a single kilometer of land. They are known for sacrificing entire regiments, entire armies of these guardsmen just to make any sort of progress in the never-ending war that is 40k. But you gotta keep in mind that they are fighting the most overpowered armies ever created. They are fighting metal robots with guns that disintegrate flesh from your bones. They're fighting giant space bugs with like impenetrable skin that can tear them apart in 2 seconds. They're fighting the literal gods of chaos, spawning in demons on their homeworlds just for some shits and giggles. Like they're fighting some overpowered shit. But they are like formally trained military men. And like if I went and tried to pick a fight with some dude who's been in the army for 10 years, I'm probably gonna lose. And I'd like to think that by the 41st millennium, the like training that soldiers would have to go through in order to like be fit to fight is pretty severe. I'm imagining it's a much more advanced than what people do now. So I'm gonna say an Imperial Guard could beat me in a fight, 100%. I'd say it's gonna be close, but if it came down to like a whole fucking fight, I think they would win. All right, next up is a commissar. Now a commissar is just a like fancier guardsman, right? And when they're not shooting their own men.
If you will not serve in combat, then you will serve on the firing line.
They are still actively fighting, so they are going to be in the same vein as the Imperial Guardsmen, where I think I could hold my own, but they would beat me. So now we're going to get into some more one-sided fights. First up, we have a Vindicare assassin. Assassins are like, they're specially trained to kick people's asses. That's their whole job. Like they're better at fighting than guardsmen. They're better at fighting than commissars. They're specifically trained to be able to take out high-profile targets regardless of the circumstances. So, given that, he could kick my ass. A Vindicare assassin could 100% kick my ass, no questions asked. Next up, we have a Skitarii. Now, Skitarii isn't super intimidating on his own, right? You take away the pulse rifle and I forget what their power swords are called, but you take those away, they're not super scary. But the issue is, they're made of metal. Like, there's nothing I can do if I'm trying to box someone who's made of metal. Even if I land the cleanest punch, it's not worth it. My hand's gonna break, and they're gonna beat the shit out of me and stomp me with their weird metal feet. And also, because of their augmentation, they have a heightened like sense of ability compared to a normal human. Like, because computers can analyze shit faster than humans can. So with all the augmentation, he'd be able to outfight me as well. Skitarii could kick my ass. Next up, we have a Sister of Battle. Now, Battle Sisters are still human. They are still human beings. They are augmented slightly, I believe. They are still a very powerful army in 40k and are known for relentlessly burning heretics. You know, I'd be very distracted. You put a buff goth woman in front of me, and by golly, I would not be able to pull myself together enough to have a fight. So I'm going to say Battle Sister could kick my ass. Next up, we have an Ogren. Now, I think this kind of goes without saying. An Ogren could kick my ass any day of the fucking week. They could slap me so fucking hard that all my bones disintegrate and I am nothing but a pile of mush on the ground. Even though I am smarter than an Ogren, even though I might be faster than one, Even if I punched it or kicked it as hard as I could, there is no way I would do any damage to an Ogryn just because they are so massive. It would be like punching a fucking strongman. Like one of those motherfuckers who weighs like 400 pounds and is deadlifting 1,000 pounds just for fun. It'd be like punching one of those guys, but like times 10. Ogryn kicks my ass all day.
Adeptus Astartes.
The poster boys of 40k. The physically augmented in every possible way superhumans that are known for destroying everything they come across. We got the 8-foot tall, 3-lung, 2-heart, acid-spitting, superhuman motherfuckers who can clap demons, Tyranids, Necrons, Tau, anyone. Even without the power armor and the super fancy weapons, it's not even close. It'd be like me trying to fight an Abram tank in hand-to-hand combat. It's just, I can punch them all day. I can swing at them all day. I wouldn't even hit them. Like, they are known canonically to be moving faster than any human ever recorded ever could, right? I could throw any technique at them. I could throw the most deceptive, fucking top-tier kicks that I know as a martial artist, and they would not land. They would 100% miss 100% of the time. And even if I did hit, it would be like kicking a steel wall. They put modern bodybuilders to shame, let me tell you. Absolutely fucking not. A Space Marine would kick my ass. It would not be close. They could flick me and my bones would disintegrate, my flesh would fall off, my muscles would turn to fibrous little spaghetti noodles, and my pants would be full of shit. And with that being said, we're on to someone who is stronger than a Space Marine. We have the Adeptus Custodes. Now, Custodes are Space Marines, but better. Where the Space Marines have the gene seed of their Primarch, the Custodes have the gene seed of the Emperor himself. Given that, I think they are also going to go into the absolutely fucking not category based on the principle that they would look at me once and I would have so much piss in my pants that I would not be able to fight. This one could be a close one.
We have the Primarchs.
Yeah.
That was a lie. That was a complete lie. I could not get anywhere close to these guys. Have you seen the things they've done? Even the ones that people think are like boring little shit babies. Even like Reboot Guilliman. He walked on the outside of a starship in space without a helmet just to beat some ass, just to beat some people up. Any Primarch, even the worst ones, even the ones people think are weak little slobbery little baby boys, instantly could vaporize me. It's not close. Absolutely not. And last but not least, we have the Emperor of Mankind in the 31st millennium, in his prime. So here's the thing about the Emperor. He's been around for a while. He's seen humanity grow. He's seen them struggle. He's stepped in. He became the ruler of the galaxy, essentially. He scares me. As handsome as he is, I could wash my clothes on his abs like a washboard. I could oogle at him from a distance for a while. I could try to fight him. It wouldn't work. He is the psyker ever. Take away his psychic powers and you still have the absolute pinnacle of all of humanity. The most powerful being. The guy who solos literally everybody. The one who shits out warp storms and goes and fucks with the Chaos Gods for fun. Yeah, it's not close. Absolutely not. The Emperor of Mankind. I have no words. I think it's pretty obvious. Homie has left me speechless. Homie has left me flabbergasted. And that is my tier list on some of the Imperial forces that I think I could beat in a fist fight. You know, maybe I purposefully chose a bunch of characters who I thought would be really easy to beat to make myself feel better. But at the end of the day,
the majority of the Imperium could kick my ass. Just based on how 40k works. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be making more. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. And so, you know, look out for the next one. If you guys have an army or a faction that you would like me to make a tier list on, let me know. I think it's going to be very fun to do some of the alien races and whatnot.
Goodbye.
You already know I had to get my boy right with the homemade soup. You know what's crazy though? He probably can't even taste the rat poison. Oh, it's a